What's going on, everybody? What's going on? And much gratitude for tuning in to today's intergalactic message. But before we get started, for those who are tapped in to the matrix already and want to tap in to their abilities with depth, utilizing sound and direction, our services are still available. There's a link in the bio that you can click, or you can contact us directly in the inbox, and we will contact you as soon as possible. Again, for those who are already tapped in to the matrix and would like to tap into their abilities using sound and direction, there's a link in our bio, or you can contact us directly in the inbox, and we will contact you as soon as possible. As soon as possible. And today's message is going to be very interesting, because during our journey, we ended up in the homeless shelter. It's not a place that we wanted to go to or planned on going to. Everything just happened unexpectedly. But during this journey, we learned a lot about reflections. We learned a lot about the mirror. We learned a lot about intuition. We learned a lot about shadows, and we learned a lot about divine counterparts. Now, we're going to be talking about this in a different way. And the way that we're going to talk about this is so you can see it from a different perspective, so you're able to tap into your gifts as well. So, being here at the shelter, we arrived here in our darkest moments throughout our journey. I mean, it was a dark, dark night of the soul. And we really kept to ourselves and stayed quiet, not knowing what was going on or what to expect. But instead of being in fear, we remained with our eye open. And we were able to see things and navigate through the darkness. Now, we all know, in order to get to the light, you have to go through the darkness. In order to get to the light, you must travel through the darkness. Now, while we were traveling through the darkness, we came across several shadows. And this is where we learned about the reflections and the mirror. Hence why you've seen those videos that we posted of the 5D vibes, and it looks like we're walking in a kaleidoscope. Because we learned that everything around us, this entire plane of existence, is a giant mirror. But the only difference is the layers of this mirror are so thin that you aren't able to see it with the naked eye. You're able to see it with your first eye when it's all the way open. But with a naked eye, you aren't able to see it. Like, for example, where I'm walking, when you look at this guardrail from my perspective, it looks like layers and layers of mirrors. Look, right? Now, when you look at that, you see layers and layers that's holding up the guardrail, right? Now, in our perspective, speaking of the vessel and our spirit, we see multiple mirrors, a reflection of itself, of a reflection, of a reflection, of a reflection. So it's like you have two mirrors in your hand, and you pick them up and you face them toward each other, and then you step in between. Now you've just created an infinite loop. This is what this reality is, right? So when you see your reflection, like for example, you're sitting at a table and then you have your brother or sister sitting across from you. You're in a mirror. You can see behind them, they can see behind you. But you're looking at your reflection. You're looking at self from a different perspective, in a different meat suit. You see what I'm saying? And since I've been here at the shelter and seeing all these shadows, I've been seeing a lot of reflections without light. And the more I interacted with these shadows, the more I was able to generate light within them by just being present. And we realized since we've been here, we've changed a lot of lives, not even realizing that we've changed a lot of lives because of our presence alone. Our presence by itself, because we have been doing the inner work. We have been doing what we need to do to expand, grow, and elevate. Because we have been doing that, the other versions of ourselves are able to receive light, whether they understand it or not. But by being around us, they are able to receive light. Just as you guys are out there. Being a pillar of light and doing your services during this time of existence. As long as you are doing the work, the reflections of yourself that you are supposed to encounter will receive your light, whether you realize it or not. Every time you step out and walk on this plane of existence, you are doing work. And I say this because I see a lot of the collective still setting things up and performing abilities. And a lot of you are probably asking, what does this have to do with abilities? It has a whole lot to do with abilities. See, when you just set up a camera and put an object in front of you and start doing your abilities, do you know exactly what it is you are doing? Right? In order to expand, grow, and elevate, you have to put yourself out there to learn something new about yourself so you understand your energy from a different perspective in the mirror instead of just facing in one direction or just facing one way in the mirror by placing an object in front of you and doing the same thing over and over and over in a loop. And I'm speaking of this from experience because that's what we used to do. We used to set up stuff, set up our camera, and oh, we figured out this new thing, and then immediately record. Not realizing we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over because we haven't navigated or attempted to travel through the many dimensions of this mirror to learn new things about ourselves interacting with our shadows, our dark side. Our dark side is where our emotions lie. Our dark side is where a lot of our power is. But when you do the inner work, when you're doing the inner work and you're taking in more light, you're doing what you're supposed to do, acting of service, and you're being the earth angel of light and dark, wherever you are. Every time you do that, you learn something new about yourself. And the more you do that, the more you learn about your emotions. And learning more about your emotions from different perspectives and different shadows, you learn stronger ways to utilize your emotions to move objects, to connect with objects, to become one with objects, because you're looking at everything that you're doing from a different perspective in the mirror. Remember, the mirror has multiple dimensions within it. So when you are looking at it, again, when you put two mirrors up and you face them to each other and you step in between, you'll see multiple dimensions of self within that mirror. And it's up to you to figure out or to learn what part of yourself you want to learn, or what part of yourself you want to connect to and learn, or what part of your shadow you want to interact with to learn something different and to learn something new. This is the beauty of tapping in to who you really are. And the more you do this, the greater the results. The more you tap into who you really are, the happier you will be because you're tapping into your emotions on a stronger level. Now, another cool thing about the mirror is you're also able to direct your light wherever you want it to go. Because remember, you must first travel through the darkness before you reach the light. And once you reach the light, you're able to direct it anywhere you want to go and travel within that light. Now, there will be a part two to this to continue off from what we are speaking on, so you guys have a better understanding and overstanding of what's being said.